today, I initially honestly was going to do just like a walk and film that. I still ended up going for a walk, but you could kind of just hear traffic and horns the whole time, so it wasn't really peaceful for like to film. I wanted to film with the intention of making it like a peaceful video where you could just hear like water and nature and like stuff like that. So I'm gonna retry that, maybe try and find another place to walk. But today, it's Monday, fell very far behind in terms of house stuff, as we do during the week. And then we were just too tired on the weekend, / we did stuff Saturday, and then Sunday was just like, can't. So today, I thought it might be fun just to take you along with a get it all done with me. We can clean out the fridge, got some laundry going in the background already. I make the bed, you know, the Monday stuff. So let's get into it. Maybe this will motivate you as well to get ready for your week. We've got this, guys. And I guess I'll be posting this on Friday, so maybe this will motivate you into prepping for your next week. Maybe even myself. We'll see. Hello, my friends. All right, as you can see, I'm starting out with some vacuuming here. I find this carpet gets so dirty so quick, and also my cat just absolutely loves laying on it after you vacuum it. So part of that is why I'm vacuuming here today. So on Mondays, I usually like to try and just, I guess, assess what needs to be done in the house, and then I try and make a plan for the rest of the week. So here it's Monday, and prioritizing vacuuming mainly, as well as laundry. We have a few loads to do, and just some little things like that. So we're starting out here vacuuming by the stairs, and I'm flipping over a load of laundry now. I like to start out with one kind of earlier in the morning, just because our washing machine does take less time than our dryer, so I find if I space them out, it works a bit better. Does anyone else just find like laundry just like piles up? Like the second you finish a load, somehow there's already more laundry? I don't know, but it just, yeah. We got little Boop here. He's getting his morning snack. His internal clock is so on it. It's like 9:45 comes around and he's like, Mom, give me a snack now. Starting another load of laundry here. Just doing the bedding now. I like to try and do this every week or every 2 weeks if I can. It really just depends. And then I like to do the baking soda rinse, which I have filmed before. I'll leave a link above in this video, where I just like to sprinkle baking soda on our mattress and vacuum it off. I'll do that on another week. So this is just a sheets day. All right, I do use the dryer for a lot of stuff, but I also like to hang as much as I can, and I guess stuff that I know will likely shrink if we put it in the dryer. So a lot of that is like knit clothes, some of my smaller like leggings or things like that, dress shirts, work shirts, you know. All right, and I used to use soap nuts. I believe I've done a video on that in the past, and I found since I started working in a kitchen, they really just were not getting the smell out at all. And the food scents were really kind of sticking in my clothes. So we did end up switching to I'll say it's ECOS, ECOS. Hard to say. There's a name to it, but that's how it's spelled. And we just get it at Costco, and it works really well. Seems to do the job. I'm just spreading that around because I find our washing machine, if you don't mix the soap or like turn it, there's an uneven amount of water, and then by the time the rinse cycle comes on, you can tell the weight's off. I don't know, old washing machines. All right, and here, you might see this in a few videos as well. We actually can't really drink our tap water. Some days it comes out yellow, some days a bit more brown, some days clear. So thankfully, I feel unbelievably grateful for this. My mom and stepdad bought us this Berkey, and it has been a lifesaver, a literal lifesaver in terms of water and just having access to clean water. So here I just like to keep that full, and then we put the filtered Berkey water in that fountain for my cat as well, just to keep it as clean as possible. He loves it. On to the dishwasher. I actually was supposed to do this on Sunday, but I forgot to turn it on. So I woke up this morning and started it before I started my day, just so I would be able to unload it later in the morning. In the dishwasher. Okay, now that the dishwasher's unloaded, I'm just moving into the bathroom here, and I just like to start by clearing out everything off of the counters, as well as in the shower, and just making sure that none of our stuff is kind of taking up space. And then I'll go ahead and wipe down everything and then slowly put everything back in the bathroom. Let me know if you like this guy. I'd love to make more of these. Alright, so I just like to use this Method bathroom cleaner. I have used just plain vinegar and water before, as well as just trying to make chemical-free cleaners. The bathroom is one place where I do like to use, I guess, some chemicals. But yeah, here for the bathroom. For the bathtub, I usually use baking soda and vinegar and just let it kind of make like a little paste. And I find that totally does the trick for the bathtub, the sink, and then when I get towards around the toilet, I do like to use maybe something a bit more intense. Now I'm just putting our stuff back in the bathroom. This honestly looks a little bit different every time I do it. I try and keep it similar, but it's definitely not in the same place every time. As you'll see around our apartment, I like to store a lot of our stuff in these random jars. Some are from peanut butter, some are from pasta sauce, some even pickles, and you know, you'll find them everywhere. There's another. Alright, so the bathroom is done, and it is still a bit cluttered. I really want to find a better organization system. There are a few cupboards and shelves in our apartment that I really need to get some type of system for them. We don't have a ton of space in terms of storage here, so I might try and get a little creative. We'll see what happens. But for today, the bathroom is done. Hey. Oh, right. Now, we have a really bad habit of eating the M&Ms out of this trail mix and then leaving just the tiniest bit of nuts at the bottom of a jar. So I'm just going through and refilling those. And who knows, we will probably still end up eating the M&Ms first, but we'll try. Now that most of the cleaning stuff is done, we're just going to head into the kitchen, and I'm gonna start off a loaf of bread this morning. Now, I have made a video on my bread recipe before, but I have been thinking of making an updated one just since working in a bakery and with some more tips and tricks I've learned since then. So I'll include that video, the one I've made previously, here above, and then keep an eye out next week for a new video on how to make my bread recipe. And this recipe is fairly basic. I just like to use half white flour or all-purpose and then half a whole wheat pastry flour. I also sometimes will add a fife wheat depending on what I want the bread for. If it's just for sandwiches, I will try and make it a bit healthier, but sometimes we do like to make a nice cheesy kind of herby loaf that we'll have on Friday night sometimes. Now for this recipe, you can use maple syrup or honey. I'm going to be using honey in it today, and then I just have some instant dried yeast here. You'll need about a tablespoon of that, and then you're going to add around 2 tablespoons of the honey and 1.5 cups of warm water. Now this honey is almost solidified, so we're just going to use a knife for that. I should really heat it back up. I hear that if you put it in warm water, it will kind of uncrystallize, but I haven't tried it yet. Adding in our water here. Now, generally, this would be the time where you would let the yeast and either the honey or maple syrup kind of sit with the water, and this is a good way to tell if your yeast is still active. I do use my yeast quite frequently, so I know that this yeast is still good, so I'm just going to go ahead and add the flour right in now. So I'm going with 2 cups of white flour, and then about 1 cup and 3/4 cups of whole wheat pastry flour. I usually need a little bit more towards the end of kneading, probably about 1/8 of a cup. Here, I just like to start by making sure I have the yeast and the honey kind of incorporated at the bottom, because this is when your yeast is going to start to dissolve. So I really want to try and avoid leaving chunks in my dough. Now, ideally, you want to knead your dough for at least 10 minutes. And what you're going for is something called a gluten window, where if you were to pull your dough apart, you would want it to have some elasticity to it. So you would want to be able to pull your dough almost to the point where you can see through it, but where the dough is not ripping. So I'm going to keep kneading the dough for probably 10 to 15 minutes. I will just put some clips in here. And then once you feel comfortable or feel like it is at kind of a good elastic point, you can just stop that there. And yeah, I feel like there is a lot of different ways you can do bread. And if you are trained by a multitude of bakers, they will all have a different way of doing it. So while I was working at the bakery, I had an opportunity to learn from 2 different bakers, and they both had different techniques for their bread. So it's a little bit interesting, I find, to kind of see how those change your bread or change your dough, and what people think are kind of the necessary things for a loaf of bread, because it is really quite different. Yeah, so here I'm just trying to spread it apart. Doesn't seem to be ripping, so I'm just going to give it 1 or 2 more kneads and then start to form it into a smooth ball. And for this, I like to try and fold the dough kind of downwards, almost like you're pulling it tight. Sometimes easier to flip it over and kind of pinch the bottom together, and then you can kind of smooth that either in a bowl or on the counter, and just use your hands to kind of pull the bottom tight. Now we're going to let that rise at room temperature for 2 hours, and then transfer it to the fridge for another 2. Now we're going to be starting on our chocolate chip muffins. Now, if you haven't checked out that recipe, I will include a link here. You can find that on my blog at thatbeautifulbrain.wordpress.com, and it should be one of the most recent ones, but I will include a link right here as well. Now, I don't know, I might be a little biased, but I say these are comparable to Tim Hortons chocolate chip muffins. Not as big, and the chocolate chips are not the right size. But if you can push past that, I find they are so freaking close and almost better, because you know there is not as much sugar in it, and you know you're doing something better for your body. Also, it's just delicious. So these muffins, for me, I love having them with a cup of coffee in the morning, and also really anytime, like a bedtime snack, an afternoon snack. Really, these are perfect at any moment. So now here, I'm just going to create a small hole in the center of the flour, a well, if you will. And I'm going to start by adding the vanilla as well as the almond milk, 1 egg, and some safflower oil. Now, you don't actually have to use safflower oil. You could use canola oil, you could use butter, you could use vegetable oil. I wouldn't suggest olive oil as it will probably affect the taste, but any other oils should be fine. And I like using safflower because it doesn't really have a taste to it, and it also has a very high smoking point. So it's great for cooking, great for baking. Doesn't really impact the flavor of it, but does what you need in terms of consistency. Just accidentally put the wrong lids on. Alright, so I'm just folding that in here, and you just want to keep stirring it until it's just combined. Once you have that just mixed enough, you're going to want to add in your chocolate chips, and you may find you want to add a bit more flour here. I just added about 1/8 of a cup. Alright, so your batter is going to be fairly thick, and you're just going to want to fill your muffin tins about halfway. Now it should make about 8 to 12 muffins. I usually get 12 if I do it on the lower side. Alright, and then to finish these guys off, you're going to want to use a little bit of sugar and just sprinkle it on top. And that's just going to make it delicious and a little bit crusty, a little bit crispy. Oh, it's just delicious. And you're going to want to bake these at 400 degrees Celsius for about 16 minutes, 16 to 18 depending on your oven. Oh man, I need to clean my oven. Alright, look at them! Little golden tops, they should crack a little. They don't get huge in terms of dome muffins. They are delicious. Now we have a load of laundry done, so I'm just gonna fold those and put these sheets in the dryer now. right. Okay, for the hanger trick, you just want to get all of your shirts you want hung all lined up together, and then you're just going to go one by one and flip them on top of each other as I'm doing here. And then you'll have all of your shirts hung up in one smooth pile. Now, keep in mind, I do only have to do laundry for myself and my partner, so I have not yet seen what it is like to do laundry for kids, and I feel like that is just another world. I like to leave the muffins in the pan just to bake a little bit longer, and then I switch them over to the cooling rack for the rest of it. I'm just gonna do some dishes. I like to try and reset the kitchen a few times a day, kind of clean up after each session in the kitchen, and it just leaves it a bit more, I guess, welcoming or inviting when I need to go back in there again to make something else. So resetting it back to how it was each time has been a huge, huge help. Alright, jumping into the food prep now. So I like to try and chop and at least like semi-prepare a lot of the vegetables we have. I just find we use them a lot more and there's a lot less waste if stuff is prepared and just ready to throw in a pan. So yeah, I'm just gonna try and do a full reset of our fridge and prep carrots, celery, peppers. We have onions, mushrooms, and lettuce, I think. I think I'm also going to do some potatoes today. We'll see. Now our celery is looking a little bleak today, but I think it'll be fine in like soups and stir fries and stuff, so. Get our station ready before we jump in. Right, maybe some value spuds. I ended up actually not cutting these. I didn't have a plan for them, and I didn't want them to just sit in the fridge in water because that kind of, I don't know, if you don't use them right away, they kind of get a little weird. But I did end up chopping a few sweet potatoes here. But first, I need some coffee to get through the rest of this afternoon. So, I find having like a nice warm cup of coffee or just like something and a little snack is such a reset for me in terms of like the afternoon. Like I love just doing the morning normally, and then come like 1 p.m., 1:30, I'm just like, all right, just need to sit for a few minutes, have a cup of coffee, go in my head a little bit, and see how I'm actually feeling. Anyone else? I mean, I feel like the world is so chaotic, it's kind of hard to get a breath, but our liner is totally coming out of this coffee filter, but I love the taste the coffee has when it's made in this filter, so I am still using it even though it's broken. Back to vegetables now. I'm just gonna start by peeling the carrots and sweet potatoes, and then I'll go ahead and wash everything then. Water is ready, so I'm gonna start the coffee now, get the grounds blooming first, and then I'll come back over and pour it. Now, once you have everything rinsed off and peeled, you're just going to want to start by cutting the tops and the tails, if you will, off of your vegetables. Now, I'm starting with carrots here, and I'm just going to prepare some with the intention of eating them as snacks or for lunches for my partner. And then the rest of the carrots, I'm just going to cut up in rounds so we can use them for stir fries and cooking. With the celery, it's a bit too flimsy to use as snacks, so I'm just chopping it up really fine, and we'll throw that into some stir fries or soups or something. All right, now for peppers, oh my god, chopping them this way was the craziest thing I learned, and I think I learned it watching one of Tiffany Beeston's video. I'll include her channel here. I love her homemaking videos. So I think that is where I've seen it, but it has been such a game changer for chopping peppers. And I just like to dice them, I guess, in like strips. And I'm doing the same with the red and the yellow peppers here. And then when the time comes, we can either dice them smaller if we need, or use them as they are. On to the mushrooms. I love mushrooms. I used to always eat them raw as well, and then I think my mom told me something about them being not good for you raw. I'm not sure. I'll look into that. But they are my favorite food, probably. As a kid, I would eat like literal cans of mushrooms. I digress. Here is the spread for the week. So these are just the veggies that we have prepped, and I'm just going to slide these in the fridge so they're just ready and easy to grab whenever we need them. Putting stuff in the fridge really is a Tetris battle, isn't it? I wanted to put these down here, but then I got a little weary about the chicken. We're using that later in the week for some bulk meals for someone. So I just kind of want to keep that there, but not, not touch the veg. And there we go. Coming back from my coffee now. I love these silk creamers. I think my favorite one is the maple. Or the peppermint mocha. They did have a delicious peppermint mocha one, I will say, around Christmas. So it's the little things, right? Right, and I decided I would start prepping some stuff for dinner as well. So I just have some sweet potato fries cut, and then I'm gonna make up a little salad for us here too. A leaning tower of compost. And our bread, she is rising. So now, after the first 2 hours rising on the counter, you're just going to transfer it into the fridge for the next 2 hours. And then after this, you'll take it out again, and then there's one more rise before baking it. Clean kitchen. It doesn't last long, I swear. I'll be back. Right, I think I got most of my stuff done on the to-do list. I think I double wrote some stuff as well. So it's definitely a little more chaotic on here than I think it actually was. Now I'm just gonna sit down and try and get in some blog work, as well as keep applying for jobs and check in on some of my emails here too. Okay. We are making the bed. Done. So fresh. Spread from IKEA. And the sheets, I believe, are from Winners, if you're curious. Now, back to bread. It has finished the 2 hours in the fridge. So now I'm just going to take it out of the bowl here and just try and get out some of the air pockets. At this time, with this recipe, you can also choose to add in some oats if you wanted, knead in some pumpkin seeds. If I was making this a cheese and herb bread, this is when I would knead in the herbs and the cheese. And then you're just going to want to get it into as smooth as a ball as possible. And here you can use you could use a loaf pan. I'm using just a plain baking sheet today. I kind of bounce back and forth. Sometimes it is nice just to have a fun round loaf, which I like to do on these baking sheets. And they just kind of get to grow on their own, so you never know what they're really going to look like. Now I'm just scoring the top here. The purpose here is just to let some of the steam out. I'm really not doing any specific pattern. I kind of change it every time. This one kind of looks like a butterfly towards the end. Doesn't come out that way, but and this bread does not score the same as sourdough, that is for sure. Just rubbing some olive oil in there, and that's just going to help the bread from drying out and also give it a nice kind of crispy crust. Oh, look at her. Now, when you're baking the bread, I like to keep it between 350 and 375. Almost lost her. And while I'm baking it, I like to keep a dish of water in the bottom of the oven. And this is just going to help prevent your bread from drying out while it's baking. So as you can see, the scoring turned out a little different once it was baked, but it makes for a really nice crust, and it's just delicious. All right, so this is a salad dressing that I had made a few days ago. Has olive oil in it though, so it does solidify in the fridge. So just taking that out a little bit before we actually go to eat dinner. And now I'm just getting the last bits of the salad ready. So I'm just gonna dice up some peppers as well as some red onion, and then just put that aside again. We are coming into the end of the video here. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I had a ton of fun making this video, and it also helped me to get some stuff done. So that was a bonus. I hope this maybe can provide you with some motivation. Maybe it's just something fun to watch, or just can provide you a few laughs throughout your day. I'm sending all my love into the world. This is a very weird time. I'm sure we are all tired of hearing that, but I hope you know that you have value just as you are. And there's a reason for you being in this world, whether it seems like it or not. And before I get too emotional, I'm gonna end this video here. Just ended up finishing that salad, have some sweet potatoes off in the oven, and we are going to call it a night. Thank you again so much for watching. Until next week.